Well, guys, it's become pretty clear that Kang Dynasty is going to be a big deal, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania put these pieces in play. Now, over the last 24 hours, we've gotten multiple reports, not only from the writer, Jeff Loveness, but a scoop on who the secret and maybe surprise villain of Kang Dynasty will actually be. Let's take a couple minutes to dive into all three of these reports, talk about what's going on, and why Kang Dynasty is shaping up to be something pretty interesting. Well, ever since Ant-Man and the Wasp came out, we really started to get lots and lots of updates on the next big multiverse adventure, Kang Dynasty. Now, as many of you know, Jeff Loveness, who wrote Quantumania, is currently writing Kang Dynasty, and he has been revealing tidbits about what's going on, and some of them are quite shocking. Now, we have multiple updates from Jeff, but before we dive into that one, let's talk about the scoop from the Cosmic Circus. Now, as we always say, if it's not from Kevin Feige or Marvel Studios, we need to take it with a grain of salt. But the circus has hit some home runs, and I think this one's worth talking about because it is supported by a lot of things that have already happened in the multiverse as of right now. Now, in this new report, it kind of breaks down where Stephen Strange is going to fit in the Kang Dynasty and how he might very well be the primary antagonist against Kang the Conqueror. Now, as far as Doctor Strange goes, he's a great hero, but it's become pretty recent over multiple movies. He really does not hesitate to take incredible risks. The spell he cast in No Way Home brought countless variants into the MCU. And even though Peter Parker had a role to play in that, he was definitely responsible. After that feature, What If and Multiverse of Madness pretty much drove home the danger that Stephen Strange could potentially pose to the multiverse. Now, at the end of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we got our big reveal. Not only did we get to meet Clea, which is a pretty big deal, but Doctor Strange decided to team up with her to try to stop an incursion in another realm after a rather concerning effect manifested from the Darkhold. Now, this is where the Cosmic Circus report comes in because they've shared an intriguing rumor about future plans for Strange in this multiverse saga. Apparently, as we head into Kang Dynasty, and even in Secret Wars, this conflict is going to pit Strange against Kang in a very similar way we saw Iron Man face off with Thanos. In their report, they said, Kang's perspective, and the angle Marvel Studios will want to pitch to audiences, is that he's the hero trying to save the multiverse from its greatest threat yet, Dr. Stephen Strange. Now, we all know how the members of Earth 838 felt about Doctor Strange and his abuse of powers, so this theory has already got some legs before it even gets out of the gate. It's very possible that Doctor Strange is blamed for many of these incursions across the multiverse. If you remember correctly, Kang is attempting to stop those by wiping out divergent timelines, presumably to protect whichever one he calls home. Additionally, we saw Sinister Strange in What If try to wipe out all of his variants, and according to the Cosmic Circus, and I quote, he has been terminating his variants to avoid the inevitable future of an incursion between two universes. The whole theory is pretty intriguing, and I really do believe Marvel Studios will want to have that kind of Thanos-Iron Man relationship that we had in the last Cap-Off event. The face-off between Iron Man and Thanos on Titan really gave us a dynamic between the two characters and some mutual respect, and we might see a little bit of that between Kang and Doctor Strange. Now, this takes us to a couple of reports from Jeff Loveness, who, as a reminder, wrote Quantumania and is actually currently writing Kang Dynasty. Now, during a podcast with Phase Zero, he talked a little bit about some of the heroes that might appear, but he was really careful about choosing his words. In that interview, he actually said, I can't say specifically. I think I'd get in trouble. I gotta get better at talking to the internet. But just characters that we like, I think we're more excited for the actors more than even the characters right now, because we have a really good crop of performers. We got Florence Pugh, and Jonathan Majors, and Letitia Wright. We've got such a deep bench of really good actors. Everyone's going to get their chance to shine. I can't say who, I can't say when they will shine, but I think we've got a deep bench, and it's fun to really put everybody into the game. Now, he clearly just teased 3 major characters that are going to appear in this movie, with Jonathan Majors being the obvious addition. We already know Yelena Belova is going to play a pretty big role in the Thunderbolts. It's effectively a sequel to Black Widow, and now it sounds like she's once again going to be front and center in the Kang Dynasty. Additionally, I'm not surprised after taking up the mantle of Black Panther that we see Letitia Wright as a big part of this movie. The Black Panther is one of Earth's quintessential heroes, and they are going to try to focus on some of these new actors from Phase 4. I actually think that's been the whole point, is to repopulate this bench of heroes so they have a pretty big roster to delve out when this big event takes place. Now, interestingly enough, the other thing Loveness had to say was about a group of heroes that won't appear And this one I did find a bit disappointing, considering some of these characters are my favorites. Now, as many of you know, the multiverse saga is going to play out over Marvel Studios' Phase 5 and then culminate in these two Avengers movies, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. And during this, many fans are expecting to see a lot of the heroes from the 20th Century Fox buyout from a few years ago, which added a huge number of characters to Marvel's roster. At the front of that list is the Fantastic Four, who are getting their own film that will actually be released before Kang Dynasty, but based on what Loveless has said, they might not actually appear in it. Now, during an interview with IO9, Loveless was asked about writing a movie with so many moving parts and how tough that might be. His response was telling and gave us a big reveal. This is what he had to say. Yeah, it's definitely a tricky thing, but much like when I took on this Ant-Man job, I can't really focus on the outside stuff. I just have to lay down the bones of a good story, hopefully, and find the characters that I want to tell it. And then it becomes a game of ping pong with other people, like whoever comes on and does Fantastic Four or Blade, or I'm probably not even using those characters, but it informs itself. Now, he's talking about how the whole Marvel continuity ties together, but I think he actually slipped up there. He clearly mentioned that the Fantastic Four and Blade are not likely to be part of Kang Dynasty, which I find really interesting. The Fantastic Four is set to release just before Kang Dynasty, so it kind of makes logical sense it would bleed into the next movie, but that isn't necessarily required. We really have no idea what story is going to be told in the Fantastic Four. Now, it's entirely possible that Loveless is doing some of this on purpose too, to generate some surprise. He does work for Marvel Studios and is a professional and fully understands the implications of his words. I would be shocked if Fantastic Four wasn't part of Secret Wars, but they could play a key part in the fallout from Kang Dynasty, which eventually brings us to the front door of Secret Wars just a little while later. Given the multi-dimensional aspects of the Fantastic Four's adventures, this actually makes a lot of sense, and having them sit on the sidelines during this event, because they would be new heroes in the MCU, might actually drive the story in a way that makes it more believable. We'll just have to wait and see.